for this particular message, I asked God, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to speak to your people, but I'm also in a season where I want you to speak to me. So I need you to speak to me what I am going to speak to your people, because it should be something that touches me, something that shakes me up. And when we talk about listening from God, that is another thing that I want to talk about before I give you the message. Sometimes we think, Oba, people listen from God how? Oba, God speaks how? When someone says, God told me, Ogamba, so people all along, they hear from God. But now for me, what exactly what exactly am I doing? So I need us to clear that part, okay? When you hear someone says that God told me, just know that God speaks in so many different ways, okay? And sometimes God speaks through dreams. You have dreamt certain things, and sometimes they have come to pass. Sometimes God speaks through people. And someone delivers a message. For them, they don't know they're delivering the message. But in the passing, they say something, and you're like, my spirit was attuned, and I picked the frequency, and I owned that word, and I made it mine, and it worked for me. These things work like you go to the shrine, and they tell you will get rich. A poor man tells you will get rich. And you're like, you know what? I am actually going to get rich. So it's a frequency. You tap into a frequency. And sometimes God drops a word on your spirit. You just remember something. Could be a scripture. Could be something that you heard by the way on a video. Could be something that you were in a certain conference, you were in a certain workshop, and someone said something. And all of a sudden, why is it coming back now? And you're like, there's a conviction I got about something that I had 20 years ago, 5 years ago. And sometimes it could be about your own life story. Like God just, you know how you have magnifiers. God magnifies that part of your story and he highlights it. And you're like, I have never thought about it like this. And sometimes you even get goosebumps on your own life story. You're like, but I'm the one who lived it. But in this moment, it makes a lot more sense now that it is coming back to you and it is a memory. And let me tell you, that is God speaking to you. That's him saying, don't give up. That's him saying, you have come from far. Why are you giving up now? That's him saying, I have done so many things. Why are you doubting me now? You get it? And that is so. I wanted to clarify the part because when you hear people, God told me, then you're like, how did God tell them? Now back to the message. And vividly, when I asked and I was like, you know what, I really want to deliver something. I know that I'm on this journey with these people. Guys, I am really, the difference is I'm seated here and you're seated there. But every person that comes into my life, I literally walk the journey with them. Even if it's to pray for them, feel for them, think about them, say something to God about them. And I'm like, I know that they have their own personal lives. I know that they can be distracted, but give them the grace to stay the course, okay, until you do what you need to do in their lives. And I got 2 words. Number 1 was, don't drop the ark. Don't drop the ark. Don't drop the ark. The ark carries the presence, okay? And the presence of God is heavier than any other presence that you have ever felt in your life. The presence of God shatters everything that looks like mountains, melts everything. It piles up and builds up everything that look like valleys that you can never cross. But the thing is, we have to hold the ark that contains the presence, and we have to be able to maintain that presence in our lives. Because this is what came to me. Whenever we come to such a surrounding, we get motivated and we get going. We feel like we are energized. How many of us have left this room and we were like, we were like that Jet Li story. We're like, you know what, I'm going to just do this, and then I lift my leg, and then the enemy will be down, and then fear will be gone, and then I'm going to create good content, and then I'm going to serve my clients, and then I'm going to restock. Like, we feel energized. But when we go back to our places, what happens? The energy dwindles and dwindles and dwindles until it has shrunk totally. And so many times we have asked ourselves, how can I replicate or duplicate the presence of what is in this room in my own house and in my own place? So when I said don't drop the ark, I mean don't drop the presence. That as you come out of here charged, as you come out of God's presence charged, go with that same presence, even in your own home. But you remember, when it comes to maintaining the presence, I will look at it from the angle of, I wake up every day, I work together with my husband. Sometimes we run different errands. And so we have to be very intentional. And we will communicate about the needs of the home. We will communicate about whether we need to buy Pampers, whether we need to buy milk, whether we need, please don't forget this, pick this from the supermarket, the kids at school, who is picking them, things like that. I have a meeting, I'm delayed, I don't think I'll be able to pick the kids. Can you be able to? We communicate. But you realize that that communication is not intimate communication. It is a day-to-day communication that gets us through the day. That means I need a special time with him to be able to cultivate intentionally the intimacy that I should be able to cultivate together with him. Because then you can say, but we communicate on text. Telling me to buy Pampers. Telling me to pick kids from school. That means we have to be very intentional at cultivating our surrounding with the presence of what we want to be able to actually see grow in our lives. That means we edit the content we see. We edit the people we surround ourselves with. We edit what kind of TV are we watching in our homes. We edit what kind of radio are we listening to. Who are we letting into our homes? You realize there is a lot that we have to be able to re-edit in order to have the presence. Not only stop wherever we are charged from, but to go with the same charge and it remains with us. Okay? Don't drop the ark. Number 2, don't quit if God has not said quit. Don't quit if God has not said quit. There is a lot more inside of you. And when I was hearing this, my mind ran quickly to the disciples. Okay? They are at the shore and they have gone the whole night fishing, only to get nothing. Do you know the frustration of fishing the whole night? And fishing, this can be in the place of your work. Okay? What you do. Like, you have worked. When you say all night, that means you have worked through the thick of it. You have worked through the worst. You have promoted your business. You have created the content. You have gone to work every day. You have submitted to people, to authorities. You have done what people tell you to do. Like you're like, what more can I do? What more can I do? And some of us are in seasons where we are demanding more from God. And so many of us in every season, we demand more from God. We're like, God this, God, more anointing, more grace, more resilience. But sometimes we don't even pray for those things. We want more money. Why? We want more money, we want more happiness. We want happy this, we want happy this. We want happy this, we want happy this. But you realize that those things can be created for as long as we remain on the course. The worst thing is for us is to throw in the towel and quit. Whether you're selling insurance, whether you're selling, what do you sell? Vet drugs and all that, whether you're in boutique, whatever it is, you have fished all night, but you have not gotten. And even if you get, sometimes you're like, but kanona ko. At NASA, you're like, but what do other people do? Like, people are bagging millions of money, but what's the problem? What's not adding up? But he says, don't quit. How many of us, so many times we've gotten to the wit's end and we're like, you know what, I don't think this will work. You start a cake business and you're like, I don't think this will work. As in, you try in your own energy, you do everything that you can, what others have done, otherwise what every other human being would have done, but you actually don't get anything. And so this is what I feel on my heart. Because we have done that for a very long time and we have not gotten the things that we want to get out of our sweat and out of our commitment, we have been frustrated. Okay? And the frustration that does not just come today, the frustration that is there every day, that even when you go to your shop, even when you show up at your work, you know, people work with frustration. They get to work and they're like, I wish I had a better thing to do. But remember, the frustration is even slowing you down on everything. And not only frustration, but you're getting overwhelmed. Not only overwhelmed, you are tired. And not only tired, you are tired. Whenever you are tired, you get tired. Yeah. Whenever you're tired, you can't think. Whenever you're tired, you're only thinking, when do I rest? You're not thinking about creating more. You're not thinking about moving out. You're not thinking about pushing the boundaries. All you're thinking is, I just want to sleep. I just want to quit. Why? Because you are tired. So being tired ties you down. Now your brain is tied down, your body, physical body is tied down. How many of us have even gotten to a place and we're like, but why do I even go to church? Like, why? Why? Where was God when all these things are happening? Why is it? You remember David? I have seen people prospering that do not even know God, but me, I have seen. You get it? And then this is what I had on my spirit. It's like, share bits of your story and how you started and how you have gotten here and the things that you could have missed if you had quit before the time. Because so many times I felt like quitting. So many times I felt like, you know what, I think netumikiriza, clearly. I think this was not God's calling. I think I called myself. And I equipped myself, and I have been pushing myself. Why? Because things are not maybe accelerating or working as fast as I thought they would actually work. So the reason as to why we are here today is to remind ourselves that there is more inside of us, and there is no way God is going to demand for more if he did not deposit it in us. So he deposited it in you. He deposited it in me. Okay? So there is something more inside of us, and it's not just a season where you're looking for more, but it's a season where God is also saying, you know what, I'm also looking for more from you. That is why you got to know Bahati. That is why you got to see her content. That is why you got her number. That is why you texted her. That is why she responded, as in something would have been a mess in the middle there for us to fail to connect. I would have been that too busy. You know, I know so many people. You know, I do a lot of things. You know, I'm so busy. You think I would never have such? Because most people are like, I texted her and she responded. Yeah. And in my heart of hearts, I'm like, what was I supposed to do? Because this is my calling. My calling is to serve. So if I cannot serve, then I am not doing what I am here to do. And my calling is to serve, that even if you text at 3 a.m. and I see your text, I'm supposed to respond to you. And I'm supposed to respond to you in a respectful manner, in a polite manner, in an inviting manner, because I am extending the love of God and I'm extending what God wants to do within you. I'm the representative of that. Okay? So, there is more inside of us. And when you know that you're not doing it on your own, that is where, let me tell you, amalala gajja kugwako. You will humble yourself and you're like, you know, I am a servant. And the least among them shall be the greatest. So you're like, you know what, where are the shoes? Can I, nkwambaze ngato? Nkunaze kubigere nkwe kukamasaji. If, by the way, if I ever get to that place and that is what I have to do to help God accomplish his mission in people's lives, I will do that. Because there is no gain in being the greatest. There is no gain in being whoever you see up there. For as long as they don't have a proper foundation, they are coming back at a very terrific speed. What matters more than anything is building a firm foundation. And guess what? I told God, I want this foundation to be so solid that 50 years from now, these people will still look at me doing the same thing. I'll be like, "Nayo mkazi yabachi. Ya tabivako yabachi." I am not looking to grow overnight. Kutitimuka. No, I am not looking for that. If I was looking for that, let me tell you, I had weird ways to do that. I would have been anywhere, doing anything. As in, I would have been, but this is the pace. I was like, God, I'm not running ahead of you, and I'm not running behind you. I am walking hand in hand with you. that keeps me humble, that keeps me doing more that I actually have to do. Okay? So I want us to, very quickly to talk about the things that I could have missed and the things that you could miss or you will miss if you quit before your time. If you quit before your time. And one of them is favor. Let me tell you, the amount of favor God has put on my life. And this is just the beginning. And I don't brag about it, but I will tell you because that is what I felt on my heart. Because if you know, when you tell someone, this is what you will miss if you do this, chances are they are going to think twice when they're about to throw in the towel. Because no one told me. And I was talking to my husband while we were having lunch just a few minutes before we actually came here. And I was telling him that I don't remember a day where I told you, I've seen Coach so-and-so do this, so I also want to do this. Because by the time I started, no one was actually doing it. But I felt it on my heart. And so no one told me that, you know what, this is how you start, this is how you build, and these are the things that you should expect on the way. Like no one gave me a roadmap. Okay? No one. When we go back to the story at the show after fishing and they are done, they are tired, they are tied and nothing, they are exhausted. Guess what? That's when Jesus shows up. And when he shows up, you think Peter's boat was the only boat available? No. Was it the only boat at the dock? No, there were other boats. You think there were no other people that could have started what I started in my years or even before me? There could have been there. Why did God choose me? Why did God choose you for such a season and a time as this for you to be here? Are you here to waste your time? Are you here to pass time? Are you here to show anyone that, you know what, I've also arrived? No. We are here for something bigger. So one of the things that you can easily miss if you give in and you're like, you know what, I think this boutique is not just working. I think this drug shop is not just working. This veg shop is not working. I think this cake business, I think my time at NASA is done and I'm just not going to do this. Let me just pack up and go. And if you pack up and go here, chances are you will pack up in the next place and also go. Because every time you hit frustration, the best thing would be pack up and go. And that can never be a solution. Because guess what? Frustration, if your response to frustration is to pack up and go, you are not responding, you're not answering, you're not bettering anything. What you are doing, you are compounding the frustration. Do you know compounding the frustration? You're cutting the frustration and then you're pushing in more frustration. Why? Because then you're like, what could have become of this business? Maybe I regretted. That is why when people come into my office, even about marriage issues, where I see clearly in the human mind, in all my knowledge about family therapy, I don't see a way for that family. I will hold hands with them and pray. And I will tell them the decision is yours. And I will tell them, if you make a wrong decision, you are going to regret it immediately. You have made it. So take time. Do not just decide out of excitement. Do not decide because you had someone say something. Take time and think about 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now. And don't make this decision because someone says all your family is against your husband and you know that clearly he did something wrong, but think about you loving him, because even when people do funny things to us, it doesn't change the fact that we love them. Sometimes. So if it doesn't change the fact that you love them, when you go and speak about it in a clique of people and they're giving you all sorts of, if it were me, I would have kicked him out. If it were me, I would have done this. If it were me. But it is not you. They are not you. So go back in your corner with God and hustle it out with him. And say, tell him, whether you're crying, tell him, I still love him. Even when she did this to me, I still love her. What do I do? Sit down and sit and think. Look at your life 2 years, 3 years, minus them. Make a decision out of settledness. Not because you're in a rush to please a certain group of people, to go back and tell them, hey, namufumude. so that they can clap for you and they're like, you're the man, you're the man. And then after that, because I've had people who go back and they're like, I wish I knew what if I wish I knew then what I know now, I would never have chased my wife. I wish I knew then what I know now, I would never have divorced my husband. Why? They did it in a rush. Okay? So even when it comes to business, even when it comes to your purpose, you can easily miss the favor of God if you quit before your time. And you don't want to miss that. The favor of God that opens the doors that no man can open. Okay? You know, favor acts with sight. People see you and they cease to see Bahati. They see a helper. They don't see Bahati, they see, someone that can be able to untie them from whatever is tying them, that can be able to take them from frustration to jubilation, that can be able to materialize their dreams, to tell them that, tomorrow is going to be better. Keep on and hang on. Have you seen people who are helpers and in the natural lenses of the world, you wouldn't have looked at them twice. But because they have the favor of God, you look at them, you admire them, you want what they're putting on, you're asking what lipstick, even if you buy the same lipstick and they're putting on, and you look at them and you're like, and yet you bought the same. You put on the same dress and it looks cute on them. That is not just normal. It is the favor. The favor. The two people will speak the same thing and hers will come out different or his will come out different, and you'll be like, and yet the other person is saying the same, but you're like, oh my God. You're holding on to every single word they are speaking. Why? Because it has favor. That every eye that will settle on you, that a time will come when you don't have to convince. I'm in a season where I don't have to convince anyone about anything. No. You see me, you sign. You see me, business. You get it? But is that how I started? And guess what? When we are starting, God does not give us the roadmap. He does not tell us that there is no promise attached to you. Because this is what happens. Peter gave in his boat, right? When he gave in his boat, it did not come with a promise. Jesus didn't come and say, you know what? When you give me this boat, after I use it, my goodness, you're going to call other people to come and help you lift the fish. No, that is not. He was just like, I need your boat. So that means what he took on was the responsibility before the favor came in. He took on a responsibility before the favor came in. And some of us want the favor before the responsibility. Yeah. Like, we want quick things. In this age and era, we want very quick things. It's like, start a business. And some of us, even that need to drop in your heart, that start a business, that is not your voice. That is not your voice. Sometimes that is God speaking. And you're like, you figure it out, you think about it, and then you ask more about it. You think, like, you're thinking about it, you can't sleep, it overwhelms you. And how you know it is God-given, even after a year, you're still thinking about the same thing. It is not just your excitement. It's not that you had it from somewhere. It is a thought that God planted inside of you. Okay? So, favor felt like a responsibility, because when you're starting, my friend, the survey, the looking for the things, the investment, the sometimes you don't have to eat. I remember the time when we had invested in a shop in Kayunga, and we've gone to Kayunga. We don't know what but we are just so serious. We're like, you know what? We are going to venture into business. And guess what? We did not. And then sometimes how God shakes us out of our comfort zones. Guess what? I was fired. Yeah, I was fired at a job that was paying me 50,000 50,000 shillings, and then I was fired. And the firing letter had something to do with indifference. Indifference. Let me tell you, sometimes when you're supposed to be a creator, God gives you a big head that you cannot fit anywhere. When you're supposed to be a builder, you cannot fit in other people's houses. Or tulabu 444. You know, you go to a job, you look at everything like Tobitegera, things do not add up. You're restless. And that is how I was. Because when there's ministry, when there's something to do, when there's something, you're the one going, and then all of that, you're indifference. As in other words, you don't fit here. You fit somewhere else. And you know, they're paying me 50,000. Meanwhile, I am the only income earner in my family. Not my mother, not my sisters. And as I earn it, I take it to my mother. I find it, sometimes I would find her in the garden or on the bed, and I will kneel down and I will tell her, this is the tithe. And all of it was a tithe. And I would tell her, pray over me. And one day, while I brought that money, that was the last money that they paid me after the firing letter of the indifference. So I went, I found her in a garden, and of course when she saw me, in a garden where we were being accommodated by someone because we were refugees. We couldn't settle in our own home because my father and mother were fighting. And guess what? The fighting had gotten to gun kind of fighting, that they wanted to gun my mother down. And so that is the season that Tim gave me a phone. I was like, if anything happens, call me. Let this phone be under your pillow. That was the first phone, a Motorola phone with an aerial that I held. He gave it to me and I was like, it has airtime, it cannot lose network. If anything happens, even if it's in the middle of the night, call me. And I had just begun seeing him. Like we were friends. I had just started seeing him. And he was that concerned. So I tell my mother that this is the tithe. She prays over me. I slept on her bed. Her bed was in the sitting room because we had nowhere to sleep. Yeah, we had come from a place where we were sleeping with goats and chickens and what, but now we had gotten an accommodation where at least we could have a bed in the sitting room. It was a promotion, my friend, one that you would even give a testimony about, okay? So I sleep on her bed, and while I sleep on, you nap, because then you're like, what next? And guess what? They have given me a letter of indifference, but I am not bothered. You know, when you're not thinking, where are we going to eat? How are you? No, I didn't have anything. And let me tell you, the peace of God that surpasses human understanding, sometimes it covers your heart that you will not panic, but you don't know where your next meal is going to come from. So while I am there, by the way, vivid instructions. I got a dream. I don't know whether it was a dream or a trance, but it was a dream. I was in the middle of, for those of you that know Mukono, there is a junction that goes to Kayunga, goes to Jinja, goes to Nabuti, and then comes back to town. So I dreamt while I was on that junction, and we were going round, and the driver could not decide where he was going. And so in my heart, I screamed at him, and I was like, take Kayunga Road. And so he drove and took Kayunga Road. And in my heart, I knew we are going to Kayunga. Just imagine. I am how old? I should have been 19 or something. Yeah. So I go, and when God confirms, sometimes when God puts a word inside of you, you get confirmation. It didn't take long, and Tim was also in the desert of things are not working out, you know. Hey, you know, we've been evacuated, you know, go. And so he's like, you know what, I think we need to look around, but there are these guys that go to Kayunga to take airtime. Let's go one day to Kayunga with them. I had not even told him my dream. Let's go one day to Kayunga and spy and survey. Let's go with the Airtel, back then it was Airtel, Celtel. Let's go with the Celtel car because they have a car. Let's go and see what Kayunga has. When we go to Kayunga, he was like, we are coming to Kayunga, a village. So we enter Kayunga and we start. You know, the guys of Celtel would come drop their airtime, sell for them because we have nothing to sell in the shop. But meanwhile, we got a investment, a money that only paid for the shop, but there is nothing to be in the shop. So now you have to sit in the shop. A beautiful girl, just imagine me at 19. Leka bino bye mulabako akawato kaliwe kati. Kaliweka nga buno sakatandika bose by the way. Like, I would sit, and some of the you know, those villages usually have those huge projects where people come, expatriates come in. Let me tell you, like, people tried their level best to even get close to me. And I think they were like, naye oli omuwala yeewulira. Oli omuwala yeewulira. Atudde mu kaduuka tekalimu wadde essimu, tekalimu wadde airtime, tuogenda n'omugamba akuwe ku namba yo n'agaana. Ogenda n'omugamba akole ki n'agaana. And let me tell you, up to now, certain things, God takes you to places so that you will create testimonies. Some of them have had our story, current story, because they saw us where we began. And sometimes they're the ones that shish people's mouths. They're like, Sirika tomanje bava. Sirika abo tobogerako. You get it? Why? Because they saw us. They saw that we were impenetrable, we were inseparable, we were serious on the business that we were actually doing. Now, why am I taking you there? When God starts you from the lowly places, from the places that are disrespected, sometimes He does not tell you that you're going to climb the levels. No, He does not tell you that go to Kayunga, when I bring you back, I will take you to school, and then after taking you to school, I will put purpose on you, and you will never look for a job, you'll go straight into your purpose, and then I will put favor on you, and then He does not give you that roadmap. What He says is go. So you will feel it on your heart, or a door will open, or someone will suggest something, and you will start for the sake of starting. But you don't know where God is taking you. So if you quit, you are missing out on the favor of God. Don't wait for the whole roadmap to be drawn for you. Okay? Don't wait. Sometimes we're asking God to feel what we won't let Him use. Huh? Like the prayers that we have prayed, all of us, we usually pray these prayers. But you are a vessel, you are the boat. And God wants to use that boat to help so many other people, to help business people, to help corporate people, to help executives, to get them out of their comfort zone. And He's like, I want you to be my mouthpiece. I want to use you, okay? But again, if you do not avail yourself and say, you know what, I'm not quitting on this journey. The picture is vague. How many of us feel like the picture is vague? Yeah. You are right where you are supposed to be. You are right where you are supposed to be. Because He's not going to connect all the dots for you. But whatever you step in, I know there are things you have stepped onto, and you'll be like, hey, okay, I didn't think I would reach this far. I didn't think I would do this. I didn't think I will shoot this video. I didn't think someone will tell me, oh, what you said actually helped me. So now that is God connecting the dot and waking up your heart to tell you that you are on the right course. Keep going. Put another foot. And sometimes the foot that is behind is too heavy. You feel like, you know what? I feel I can't even. Sometimes lift it with your hands. Yeah, lift it with your hands. That's why we say, if you can't fly, run. If you can't run, crawl. If you can't crawl, when you find Adele running, hold her feet. It's like, you know what? Yeah, it's possible that you might drag me along, and maybe it's slower, but it's better than not moving, okay? Hold on to someone. So, number one is you miss God's favor. I don't know where I would have been in my life with the favors and the doors that God has opened in my life if I had not followed a trail that was vague, and I didn't know where it was going. But I followed anyway, and I made up my mind. Sometimes I look back and I'm like, Nechiche champaga. Like, seriously. I'm like, as in, any girl would have thought this is what would have happened. I would have thought about getting employed and getting my money, my smart money, whatever it is, whether 50,000 or 100,000 or 300 or a million, and I would have basked in the safety of getting my paycheck every month. Won't you? Because I come from a poor family. I come from poverty, like stinking poverty. I would have said, binebyo kungamba, that bet. Binebyo kungamba nti, you try and see whether it will work. Chikwatira wa? No. When you come from poverty, what you want is safety. What you want is security. So a paycheck looks like security. And I'm not saying that a paycheck is bad. It is not bad. But the reason as to why we are here, we are on the bridge, we are transitioning. And let me tell you, a time is going to come when that paycheck no longer cuts it for you. No longer cuts it for you. There are times you will think, you know what, I think just and you will be like a mad person. Vision makes you, purpose makes you like a mad person. You can quit on something that was giving you money to concentrate on something that is not giving you money, and everyone will say, eyakulega chali musabo. They are still mixing the hot pot of whatever they have put your picture into, and they're saying, tali gaggawala, tali gendawala. And let me tell you, sometimes God is there and saying, that is the step I want you to take. It is vague. There is a fog. It is not clear. But I need you to trust me. I don't know where I would have been if I did trust God. Number 2, you'll miss on fulfillment. Okay? It's so challenging to fish the whole night without anything. The whole night without anything. To work. Some of you have posted content. Some of you have even opened workshops, have done events. Some of you have done one-on-one coaching. And then you go out of that coaching session and you're like, oh, now you get the what did I say? Was it even impactful? Will that person ever come back to me? Let me tell you. The people that I counseled, that I coached, while I was just starting, because I had the vigor, because I didn't have an office. Some of them will call me and I'll be like, you know what, and God gives you the wisdom to maneuver. It's like, you know what, I'm going to be busy around town, so I think you will find me in a certain place. But I don't have an office to take them to. Yes. And some of them, I'll be like, you know, come to Namirembe, because by then Spirit was at Namirembe. Come to Namirembe, and then there was an empty space like a rooftop on top before the Canaan restaurant was there. There used to be huge pipes. It used to be quite a weird thing, like a generator room. And then I would take 2 seats and put them in a generator room, a dirty generator room full of grease. And guess what? Let me tell you, when God calls you, people will trust you, even not knowing what they are going to trust. Because you do not have to be glamorous in order to deliver anyone or help anyone. You don't have to. You don't have to be in a glamorous office. You don't have to have a glamorous shop. You don't have to have, some of us, because we are thinking of aesthetics and how people are going to look at us, how we are seeing those picture perfect Instagram posts and everything. So we are thinking, you know what, everything must be perfect. No, everything does not have to be perfect. There is a time I sat with a client and I was on a broken chair and he was seated on a nice chair, because then you couldn't give a broken chair to a client, in that grease-filled room, and we talked. And let me tell you, that man is still married up to now, and he had sworn to get out of that marriage, and he named his child Hilda, the last born that they gave birth, and up to now, Hilda must be more than 15 years. And he recently brought me a gift. He was like, you know what, I saw you back then, you were still young, I even didn't know whether you were married, but he was like, I stumbled upon you again on Spirit TV. I had lost contact with you. And he brought a gift. And I was like, I have so many of my friends. Right now I'm a leader in Fathers Union, so I am sending most of my friends and even some reverends to you. But I met him in a greasy room, on a broken chair. And he was driving, he was working in a very big office. He drove his double cabin, you know, these Tundras. Left it somewhere. Let me tell you, when people need help, you don't need to look glamorous for them. They can park their cars and come to something that looks like a sauna and get help. When they tell you, your musao yawonya naenga alimu kasisida. Ngobulwadde bukuluma. Will you fail to go to kasisida? You will abandon everything, or kutame or bachitegeeza kwavula oja kwavula. You will crawl into that grass-thatched house. Why? Because you're looking for help. So people are dying out there. People are dying out there. If you need fulfillment, one of the things that you will miss if you give up on what you are doing right now is the fulfillment. And let me tell you, it is so bad to miss fulfillment. Isaiah 58:11 says that, and the Lord will guide you continually and satisfy your desire in scorched places and make your bones strong. And you be like a watered garden, like a spring of water whose waters do not fail. When he says that I will guide you continually and satisfy, because he knows that we have needs. The same God that called you, that placed that purpose inside of you, deposited that purpose inside of you that has to be developed in order to be deployed. He knows that you have desires. He knows that you have things. Yes, you want the money. Yes, you want all these things. The fulfillment just from feeling that, you know what? Do you know that in a space of the past 2 weeks, those are 14 days. I don't know when you last watched my YouTube channel. In an organic way, it has gained more than 8,000 people in 14 days. 8,000. 8,000 people. Until now, I don't know what happened. I don't. But apparently, it could be one person that liked something, shared it, people are coming, and people are writing in to the extent they're like, whenever you put Luganda, please, we are in Gambia, we are in Moscow, I am in Germany, but I am here, please put subtitles, because I don't want to miss anything that you are saying. But while I have been shooting the content, while I have been seeking God for the content, as in it is a painful journey behind. It is a painful journey behind. Whatever I'm saying right now, I did not just wake up and say, you know what, let me just go and say it. No, I sat down and thought about it and planned about it. So there is work that goes. Have you ever spoken at an event? You have spoken at an event. How much work does it take to prepare? It takes work, and sometimes you even go doubting whether it is going to work. And sometimes you prepare more than one messages. Or 2 messages, and you're like, you know what, when I get there, what I feel like will work is what I will. And when you're in a home, and by the way, maybe your spouse does not understand your purpose, sometimes they can even stand in your way, because sometimes because you're like, you know, I need time to patch up things, I need time to prepare this, you're looking for the proper words, how to deliver, and stuff like that. And guess what? At the end, on this well, there are people that are drinking water. There are people that are being healed. I've got testimonies of people, families getting delivered. Families, stopping alcohol. And people deciding to go back and work. Families that have reunited without coming for sessions, but just watching the content. And they're like, you know what? No, I am not quitting. I was actually playing. There are people that have deeper issues. I don't have any issues. And they have discovered themselves. So the fulfillment, when he says that I will guide you continually and satisfy your desires in scorched places, those are dry places, arid places, no water, nothing. But he says in those empty places that look like empty, that where people say, what, you're going to do what? Motivational speaker? You're joking. Baby, like, what are you going to do? Oh man, a good day, you're really getting mad. As in, let's say Bahati akubuze, you have let Bahati get to your head. Like you have let Bahati get to your head. With the degree that you have, with the masters that you have. And this is why, because in your heart you feel this is a personal call. It is not a conference call. When God was calling you, he did not sit the whole family and told them that, you know what, I am calling Desire, or I am calling Dennis. No, he did not. It is an alone call. So next time God calls, pick the call. Yeah? Pick the call. And sometimes what he says is not sweet. It is not. And sometimes he has to take us through things so that when we get to the other side, you see the Bahati, but you don't know what she has gone through. And I will not smell like fire. I will not smell the smoke. You will look at me and you'll be like, but I want to be like her. Yeah. Be willing to go through. But the fulfillment is coming, and it is going to be huge, and it is going to be big in the scorched places. When people expect that kanoka wedde you taddangulu, that is when God is going to satisfy you. That is where God is going to lift you. That is where he's going to bless you. That is where he's going to expand you. That is where, and people will be like, because by the time my family came back, they're like, she was talking about marriage things here when she was single, marriage. And they called me a mad person, by the way, some of my uncles. And then after that, they're like, but I've been watching. When are you dropping another episode? When are you dropping? Hey, I've recommended. I've even shared it with other people. You know, this is amazing. This is mind-blowing. But when I was starting, was someone saying it was mind-blowing? It's like, she's spoiled. She's feeding off Western media. She's feeding off, she's seeing all these people. Let me tell you, you have not even tested what God can do with your life. You have not started to see it. You haven't. There are monies that you are going to hold, and you will question yourself whether it belongs to you or it does not belong to you, whether you even deserve it. Sometimes you will get to things that you feel undeserving of. But why? You didn't quit because God is not yet done. He is not yet done. Whatever it is, apply it in your situation, okay? And so, just like I said that quitting does not make it any easy. It doesn't. Especially when you quit for the wrong reasons. It compounds the stress. Let's talk about the blessing. Because some of us are like, fulfillment, favor. Let's talk about the blessing. Because the fish that Peter caught could represent money and finances and breakthrough in major ways that he cannot even handle. That he even had to call other people to come and hold for him. But remember, he took a responsibility. Because Jesus did not enter the pot and just say, go and get. You didn't get fish. Go and get fish. No. Guess what? He got in the boat and started preaching, started talking, anyone would be like, you get denyo. We've been here the whole night and now he's here talking endlessly. Have you ever been, whether it's at a conference, a workshop, in a church, where someone is speaking and you feel like, when are they finishing? Peter could have been one of those. Like, you know what? Tusubwe ebyenyanja ate tusubwe n'otulo like twandifunyeko ekimu clearly, and then he has come and then he has chosen my boat of all boats, and then he's here speaking endlessly, and then after speaking that's when he says, cast deeper, go and throw your notes. And he's like, but master, we didn't get any fish. We didn't. And he's like, so do you want to believe your report and or you want to make your own assessment, or you want to follow my assessment? And I think Peter was so wise. He was like, you know what? Let me go and cast again. Because I bet every fisherman that was there looking at Peter casting deeper, I was like, people who know God are going mad all the time. Or people, as in, they're becoming mad. Like, clearly speaking, if you didn't get at night, and we're supposed to fish at night, and all of a sudden in the morning, bright lights, and you're thinking you're going to fish, like all the fish are going to see you coming and they are going to run, like clearly there is no fish anywhere. Everyone must have been. Have you seen fishermen? They are like umeme guys. Have you seen umeme guys? While they are planting their trees, you bet that is how fishermen are. Because then it is a flat thing. You can even see. I was like, where is that? That is Peter's boat going back to the lake to do what? It's like, he's going to fish. He's going to cast deeper. To cast deeper to do what? Jesus told him, it's like, this son of the carpenter. You get it? Because he had no honor. And all of a sudden, let me tell you, your breakthrough is in obedience. Yeah. Your breakthrough is in obedience. Obedience, just like I said, will never come with a roadmap. It will never come with a map, with a sketch map. No, it will never come. It will come as dots that you even don't know. Have you seen some puzzles and you don't know where this puzzle is going? You're like, you know what, let me just connect this one and connect this one and connect this one. Before you know it, it looks like a tail. And then you're like, this must be an animal. And then you connect another one. Yeah, this is a leg. That is how we move by faith. There is no business person that has ever done a business after knowing where it is going to end, and now is like, I can see it has a lot of money, so now let me start it. No. Everyone, even when you speculate, everyone will tell you on their journey, they're like, yes, we thought it's a good venture to get in. Some people told us that there is money, but we didn't know what we had to go through. We didn't know that sometimes we will not have rent. We didn't know that at some time we will have to close our shops because of IFRIS. We didn't know, okay? But again, we learned on the way. So now, the blessing is not just going to come and find you there. It's going to find you doing something. It's going to find you speaking. It is going to find you training. It is going to find you communicating. It is going to find you posting content. One person will watch your content at some point. We've had people here on radio and TV. And those people, you know how they can be very faithful. One of them is, I'll just give you an example. He's called Pastor Moizi. You know, a very faithful man at what he's doing. Guess what? His program is at 3 a.m. in the morning. 3 a.m. and it's a prayer program. Prayer program, nothing. He does not talk about prosperity. He does not talk about, no. He just puts worship songs. And you know those worship songs of tun dun dun dun, tun dun dun dun, tun dun dun. You know those worship songs. You clearly know them. So he puts them in, and then after that, Shanda, praying. And guess what? A man one day walks into office with a bag of money. And he's like, he was telling people, you know, we are building the church, so we need your help. He came with a bag of money and said, how much does this man pay? And they were told, the accountant told him the money, and he was like, okay, so now I'm paying for a full year of that program, and tell him to pray. Let him stop asking for money for the church, even contributing to the church. So this is church contribution, this is the money for a full year of his program. Let him just come and pray. And guess what? The guy is not born again. Not born again. Like clearly he looked like he was coming from a club somewhere. He even had bouncers, and he was like, give them this much, give them this much. And just imagine, when he was starting to, when they give you a quotation of radio, and they tell you you have to pay this amount of millions, and you're just coming to pray, just coming to pray. You're not even coming to show off like you are a coach, that you're giving good information, that people should come and subscribe to your courses or subscribe to anything. He has come to. And guess what? 3 a.m. When everyone is sleeping, only those that have problems are the ones awake. Isn't God funny? Like, he is funny. But he should have told him, when you start, you put in your money, your add and money. You put it in, and mama sao njakuyambako. No. He didn't know any of that. I don't think ever since he has even paid, even after a year, the same guy came back. You get it? Some of these things, I am saying this to drop faith in your heart that there is something more that you need to do. That push yourself beyond the limits. Push yourself beyond what you think you can do, because you can do a lot more than you currently think you are doing. If you say, let me just shoot one video a week, you can shoot 3 videos every day. And guess what? You don't need to get that information from anywhere else. Get it from you and the circumstances that you're going through and what God is putting on your heart, because that is what you're thinking about. That is what you're going. Chiche chikusobedde chogereko, because chikusobedde waliwo mulala gwe chisobedde. If it is something to do with dressing, what fails you also fails other people. So talk about why is it so hard to get nice clothes, you know? And make sure that do not detach yourself. Do something that is within your power and let God multiply that. Let God multiply that. And when he says go, go. Don't say, now I don't look good. Let me wait until I buy a nice wig. Let me wait until I get a house with good windows. Let me wait until, yeah, some of us are like that. You know, let me wait, let me wait. Do not wait. Do not wait. Just imagine if I had waited, and I had waited for certain things, I had waited for certain things, and I had waited for certain things. I would not be as far as I am today. And that is why I felt the need to remind you of my journey, the things that I could have missed if I had quit before God said, I'm done with you. And he's not done with me. He's just starting. Just like he's not done with you. He is just starting. Okay? So when it comes to a blessing, Deuteronomy 8:18 says, and you shall remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you power to get wealth, that he may establish his covenant, which he swore to your fathers, as it is this day. The blessing does not just start with you. It started with your forefathers. And with your forefathers, sitegeza pantaleo. No. With your forefathers in faith, that he promised a blessing. And that blessing is not for nothing doers. No, it is not. That blessing is not for people who just sit. Yes, there is a blessing that comes from, but that blessing is not a blessing that just comes from sitting in an office and typing away and delivering on deadlines. No. He's like, that is 0.001 of what you are supposed to do. Okay? If you're not yet practicing your purpose, you're still in a safe zone. You're still in a comfort zone. Yes, you're getting money from your comfort zone, but guess what? You will get frustrated. If you're still living paycheck to paycheck, after some time, you will get frustrated. The moment you do something that is bigger than you, something that you even fear, that you quake, you know, and then I call them, and some of you, I tell you, just like usually Coach Fifi says, just post this message and tell them something good is coming, something amazing is coming. And then after that, you drop the link and no one shows up and you're like, oh God, why did I start these things? Why? And then one person shows up and guess what? That person is a fellow coach. Speak to that fellow coach. Speak to that fellow coach. And let me tell you, a time will come and people will be running to come in. They're like, she started jokingly here, but she's serious. Even your fellow workmates, they will be like, she started here in a joking way, but now she's actually making very big strides, okay? So maybe you think you don't have anything more and you're busy washing your nets, eh? You're busy washing your nets. You're like, chiro chances. You're like, my business, biganye. You're like, my purpose. Yes, I came here to Bahati so that I can find my purpose. But now I have found my purpose and I don't think my purpose is pleasant. I don't think it is any nice. I don't think it will give me what I want. Now let me just wash my nets, go back to employment, and then let me just figure out how life works, okay? There is something more inside of you, okay? And remember, if you're frustrated, you get tied. So I don't want you to get tied, paralyzed in one place. I need you to open up your legs and be able to move in faith without seeing what you're going to do, but understand your niche, understand what you need to do, understand your messaging, create your content, push as much as you can so that you don't miss the favor, you don't miss the fulfillment, and you don't miss the tangible blessing that God can bestow on the people that have been faithful and have done the things that they're supposed to do. So I pray over you and cover you with the blood of Jesus, and I pray that you go do what God called you to do. Amen. Amen.